for the death of his wife.
And we are tracking rain across a good chunk of the area, almost right along the I-44 corridor. How long is it going to stick around, and what does the week ahead look like? We'll tell you coming up.
And New Zealand ranchers raise a stink over a new law that taxes burps from their cattle.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Pittsburgh man is facing murder charges after police find his wife dead in their home. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, police arrest a 60-year-old Pittsburgh man after he returned to the scene of a murder investigation. Authorities were responding to a wellness check shortly after noon Monday for a woman in a home on the 1300 block of Cedar Crest Drive. Officers had to forcefully enter the house, and once inside, they found the body of 54-year-old Michelle Fontenot. The investigation quickly led to the victim's husband, 60-year-old Timothy Fontenot, as the primary suspect. Officers later arrested the husband when he attempted to return to the scene. Fontenot is held at the Crawford County Jail on charges of second-degree murder, 4 counts of aggravated assault of a law enforcement officer, and 1 count of felony interference with law enforcement. A second suspect is charged in an attempted murder and robbery case in Fort Scott. On September 24th, authorities responded to the 400 block of Andrick in Fort Scott, where they found 39-year-old Kenneth Bevins lying in the grass with multiple injuries. Police arrested 4 people in connection to the crime, 2 juveniles and 2 adults. Last week, prosecutors charged 20-year-old Tavin Eisenbrandt with attempted first-degree murder and aggravated robbery. And today, matching charges were filed against 23-year-old Michael Sheriff. Court documents allege they robbed Bevins, taking his knife and stabbing him with it. Bevins remains in critical condition. Well, after a rainy morning, we've got more on the way. Chris Warner joins us for the first look at the forecast.
Yeah, we're still dealing with some of that rain right now at the noon hour. 7th and Range line, you can see the roads are wet, the skies are cloudy, and that's been the trend all morning long. And this is why we've got the showers and thunderstorms lined up almost right along I-44 and a few more developing back across northeastern Oklahoma. And they'll continue to do so as they push through the areas. This is what we're talking about down here. You can see some of the scattered activity northeast of Oklahoma City, right around Tulsa, and then in between Ponca City and Bartlesville as it slowly begins to roll our way. And we'll have more showers and thunderstorms later tonight. There is a very low-end risk of a strong or low-grade severe storms with some of these that pop up today. Any that do get a little nasty could have some hail or wind with them, but again, this is overall a pretty low risk. As promised too, temperatures have been just kind of fluctuating throughout the day. We are 65 in Joplin, 68 in Parsons, 73 Yates Center, 67 Veneta, and 74 in Anderson. Check out Cassville at 75. So you can see right where the rain's been training all morning long, where the temperatures are a little bit cooler. As we go through the rest of the day, we're still looking at a high of about 74 degrees, 72 at 2, 70 by 5, and 70 by 8. And as you can see, once we get past 2, some of these showers and thunderstorms give us a bit of a break, but we're not done with them yet. And of course, to stay up to date on the latest weather and any kind of watches, warnings, or just to see the latest forecast, scan that QR code, go to your favorite app store, search for KOAM Skywatch weather. We're going to talk about what more rain is on the way and what the rest of the week looks like coming up.
All right. Well, speaking of a wet mess, a broken water main leads to flooding overnight in Joplin. The break at South Connecticut near 29th Street happened just before 9:30 last night. The force of the water actually lifted a large piece of asphalt from the road. Residents in the area say crews were working earlier to repair a smaller leak. Fort Scott is working to fix a rather smelly situation. KOAM's Carrie Worthen finds out how the city is dealing with its sludge problem.
Citizens of Fort Scott, Kansas have been complaining of a sewer smell in town. Assistant City Manager Brad Matkins says the colder the temperature, the more you could smell the lagoon from the wastewater plant. They say they have been actively treating the smell to mitigate the issue.
We're chemically treating it by putting a chemical in there twice a week, heavy doses, plus we are putting a drip of this chemical. That has eliminated some of the smell.
Archer Daniels Midland Company is also putting their waste in lagoons, but is not the cause of the excess sludge problem.
What's causing this is low maintenance and the lack of rain. We need to do a better job of getting a plan on how to maintain our lagoons, and that's what we are doing with this first step.
Matkins did say that this will not cost the citizens anything extra, and this process hopefully will start at the beginning of November.
The money is actually in our wastewater fund, which comes from various items. It comes off of our bills for our utility bills, but it also comes from ADM. For every time they dump their waste into our lagoons, we get paid for that, which is good for us, which in turn is good for our citizens. We can do these upkeeps without raising the rates.
Matkins says the cost for dredging is around $1 million, and the contractor is confident in his work. In Fort Scott, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
Well, another barrage of Russian missiles lays waste to more Ukrainian communities, killing at least 19 people and injuring more than 100. In every region of Ukraine, people are crowding into bomb shelters and subway stations following a second day of Russian missile strikes. Natalie Brand has the latest.
More Russian missiles smashed into multiple Ukrainian cities and towns Tuesday, demolishing homes and critical energy infrastructure. This woman was rescued from her home in Sloviansk, her neighborhood destroyed by an anti-aircraft missile unleashed by the Russians on a civilian-populated area. In Kyiv, residents scrambled to bomb shelters and subways to avoid the continued bombardment. They sang Ukrainian folk songs and the national anthem in defiance. The continued onslaught is the largest Russian attack on Ukraine since the early days of the nearly 8-month-long war.
Putin felt like he had to do something.
Former U.S. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster was on CBS Mornings explaining why Russia has returned to launching missiles on civilians. He says Ukraine's counteroffensive wiped out Russian weapons depots within Ukraine, and this weekend's bombing of a Russian bridge weakened a main route to replenish supplies.
The Russians are in a really tough spot. This is about an 850-kilometer-long active front. You can't be strong everywhere.
The White House says President Biden spoke by phone to President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday, pledging to provide continued defense support for Ukraine, including advanced air defense systems.
President Zelensky also addressed G7 leaders Tuesday during a virtual meeting. Russian officials say continued assistance from the U.S. will only extend the war and make it more painful for Ukraine. Russia's foreign minister says it's open to peace talks with the U.S. He added that Russia will use nuclear weapons only as a defense. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is traveling to Brussels to meet with NATO leaders and help coordinate military aid to Ukraine. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, New Zealand has a plan to tackle climate change by taxing cattle burps. And later, we're making a chicken ranch casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. The latest plan to fight climate change takes aim at livestock. New Zealand's government is looking to tax burps from cattle and other animals which emit harmful greenhouse gases. CBS's Tina Kraus has the story.
Cows do it a lot, with no apology, belching up a greenhouse gas called methane, which scientists say can be 80 times more damaging to the environment than carbon dioxide.
Nice to meet you.
New Zealand's Prime Minister wants to slap a tax on the harmful habit, forcing farmers to start paying for emissions from their livestock.
Importantly, all money raised from charges on emissions will be recycled back into the system to fund further research, tools and technology.
Jacinda Ardern says farmers can recover the cost by charging more for climate-friendly products. But critics argue the world-first proposal ignores measures many farms are already using to counter greenhouse gases.
This initiative actually sends the wrong signals to the wrong sector and isn't sufficient to address the climate emergency that we're in.
The plan includes incentives for farmers who reduce emissions through feed additives. These calves are drinking a milk formula blended with kombucha, a probiotic experts say reduces burping.
We were able to show that we got a reduction in methane of up to 20% in those animals.
Farmer David Ackland hopes the government will throw out the tax plan.
We'd really like them to think again.
But with about half of New Zealand's greenhouse gas emissions coming from livestock, Climate ministers are anxious to push the proposal through. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Well, a decision on the emissions tax plan is expected in December. There are just 5 million people in New Zealand, but some 10 million beef and dairy cattle and 26 million sheep. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Grab your slow cooker and I'll show you how you can use it to cook up some dinner time magic.
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
We have had rain across a good portion of the area for most of the day so far. I mean, we're only halfway through, but still, this is a fair amount of rain, and I think everybody's pretty happy with it so far. Skywatch Storm Tracker shows that rain, and it is lined up almost right along I-44, and that's where it's been training through most of the day, as we've just seen showers and a few thunderstorms redevelop and redevelop and redevelop. And then we're also, of course, keeping an eye on activity out here in northeast Oklahoma, and then you look down I-44 toward Oklahoma City, well, there's more activity coming together, and even as some of the bigger batches fall apart, they regenerate in other areas. And so the rest of us, though, just getting socked in with some good showers, a few rumbles of thunder, and cloud cover, keeping temperatures quite cool today. Now, as we mentioned earlier, there's still the low-end risk of a strong to low-grade severe thunderstorm in the area with some of this activity. If any of it does get to low-grade severe levels, we're talking there's a limited hail risk and a limited wind risk, but we're not expecting widespread severe weather. We're really not expecting a lot out of this other than just some good old-fashioned thunderstorms. It is dark at 7th and Range Line. We're socked in with clouds and rain in the city of Joplin. 65 degrees, wind is south at 11 right now, and we take a look at temperatures across the area. This green patch right through the heart of the area, right along I-44 is where the rain's been, keeping those temperatures lower, but you go north or south of it, 73 8th Center, 72 Chanute, you get 74 Anderson, 75 Cassville, where they haven't seen nearly as much rain, but they're still getting some cloud cover. Another good piece of information is for allergy sufferers is look at these pollen counts. A 0.8 out of 12 for today and a 0.9 out of 12 for tomorrow. So even though it's raining, you can get out there and maybe enjoy a little bit of the rain as long as there's not any thunderstorm activity. You don't want to be out there when there's lightning going on. We're still expected to reach a high of about 74 degrees, but again, these temperatures have been fluctuating kind of all over the place depending on where the rain has been and when it stops, because earlier today here at the station, the rain stopped for a little bit and the sun came out and it warmed up. So it's going to be varying across the area. Shower and thunderstorm activity holds on through the first part of the afternoon, and then roughly around 4 or 5 o'clock, it's going to taper off for a bit and leave us with mostly cloudy skies. And as we head into tonight, we'll see additional development of shower and thunderstorm activity. And again, see those fluctuating temperatures before we finally hit a low of 60 degrees. So the future track shows us what we're talking about. We get through the activity today, and then early tomorrow morning, a cold front off to our northwest brings in new activity. So everything we're getting now is coming from the southwest, and then tomorrow it'll come from the northwest with that cold front. And as you can see, it brings in another good chance of showers and thunderstorms across the area before it clears out by about midday, early afternoon. And then it just leaves behind some slightly more seasonable temperatures. And then we watch this upcoming weekend where we do have a slight chance of a stray shower or thunderstorm across the area before that clears out. And you see behind it leaves us with considerably much more seasonable temperatures in the area. And of course, don't forget, scan that QR code or go to your favorite app store and search for KOAM Skywatch Weather. You have the Skywatch Weather app, everything you need to know in the palm of your hand for when you're not next to your TV. So we'll get the rain first half of the day tomorrow, but once we clear out, we should hit a high of about 77. We have a gradual warm up heading into the weekend, and then we see that next system coming in by Sunday, brings temperatures down and does bring us at least a slight chance of some additional shower and thunderstorm activity. So all in all, this is not too bad of a forecast. Now, we're not getting a ton of rain out of this today, even though it may seem like it. We're not getting a lot out of it because we're not talking a bunch of heavy rain, but we're getting some rain. And like we've said leading up to this, any rain is better than no rain at this point.
That's very true. That's very true. You know, and I'm enjoying the little bit of moisture that we are getting. It's coming slow and steady, and that way we can use it when it gets
right.
here.
We don't have to worry about that flash flooding situation of just a heavy downpour on really dry ground running off and causing bigger issues. A slow, steady rain is what we need, and that's what we're getting.
Anything more is wasted.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Daryl Bridges in the U.S. Army. The soldier hails from Neosho, Missouri. He served proudly during World War II. To Sergeant Daryl Bridges, we thank you, our 4th state hero. Well, if you've been craving a good tater tot casserole, you'll want to give this slow cooker recipe a try. Howard shows us how to make chicken ranch casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Over the years, we've shared a bunch of slow cooker recipes with you. And because they're so tasty and easy to make, you keep asking us for more and more. So here's another one that we know you're gonna love. It's a slow cooker favorite with a bonus, potato tots. To begin, we line the bottom of our slow cooker with a good amount of potato tots. Then layer that with a blend of shredded cheddar and Monterey Jack cheese, and top it with some crumbled bacon. Next, we coat both sides of some boneless, skinless chicken breast with some dry ranch dressing mix that we added a bit of salt and pepper to. And we place those on top of our bacon layer. Now we'll repeat the layers and pour some milk over the whole thing. Then we simply set it and forget it. Come dinner time, all you need to do is make a salad and call the troops to the table. What we like about this, besides how easy it is that it's packed with flavor and is budget friendly too. To get the recipe for what we call our chicken ranch casserole, just visit our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a family favorite way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
That does look good. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
We are still watching some showers and thunderstorms across the area, lined up almost right along I-44, with a few more on the way in from Oklahoma. As we take a look at the 7-day forecast, we'll get a break later, then more showers and storms tonight. They break away about halfway through Wednesday, and we warm up before we see another system by Sunday with a slight chance of showers and storms and a bit of a cool down back to some more fall-like temperatures.
That's right. I love the fall.
Yeah,
it's here.
We need the rain.
Yeah. What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, a new survey shows sitting down with family and friends for regular meals could have a big impact on mental health and well-being. We're going to look at the benefits of sharing meals in Health Watch. Plus, local experts discuss the economic outlook for the city of Pittsburgh. And the Miami Police Department is adding a drone team that could save time and lives. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A whole lot more, of course. It's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.